This has been a team approach from the very, very beginning. We have been meeting for months about this. Central administration, we had our own meeting in the school. Then it went to district-wide. We have been talking to the Department of Health. We've been talking to New York State Education Department. We have been talking to everybody we can talk to get answers, okay? I'm gonna start off today. We're gonna go through a bunch of slides. I'm hoping my slides will answer all your questions. At the end of the night, I got a few questions from parents a little bit early. I have those. Every single question that was asked of me, I've been put on this PowerPoint, and I will go through the answers. After that, I will turn it over to you guys, and you guys can ask me any questions you want, okay? When the students are entering Howard T. Herbert Middle School, okay, there's gonna be 2 doors the students are gonna be coming through. This is key. There is no dropping your kids off early, okay? The last thing I want as a father, okay, as a principal, is kids in the back of the building in large groups, okay? So kids are gonna be entering the building at 7:45. Students must be wearing an approved mask when entering the building. Once they come on these school grounds, a mask has to be on them. And we're gonna discuss when masks are off and when masks are on. One thing that I wanna drive home, and I'm gonna drive this home a lot, is a lot of us see these gaiters. And what I mean by gaiters, it's a neckwear that you pull over your face. That is not allowed in the building, okay? And if you guys have been following the research, and Mr. Miller and myself love reading scientific research, gaiters actually multiply the COVID, okay? So gaiters will not be allowed in the building. Before students enter the school ground, now you guys are lucky, middle school and high school students can fill out the questionnaire themselves. Okay, and we're gonna be going through that. So I'm asking all the students to fill out the questionnaires themselves before 7:30, okay? The questionnaire is gonna be accessible online, and we're also gonna be driving an app on their iPad, okay? So they're gonna take their iPads and they're gonna click it. When they take the questionnaire, it's the same questionnaire you guys took, a QR code is gonna be created for them automatically on their iPad. So when they walk into the building, they're gonna scan that QR code, okay? There's gonna be a security guard there watching the QR codes getting scanned, okay? Not only are we using that for attendance purposes, we're also making sure that the questions were answered perfectly. Now, this is gonna be the questionnaire. You guys saw it as you walked in, okay? It's the same questionnaire you took. The staff has to take it. The students have to take it. Visitors have to take it. Anybody that enters the building has to take that questionnaire every single day. The state guidance says students have to take it periodically. I always like to err on the side of safety. I always like to discuss what I want my kids to be, what my kids' school should I be doing, and I want the kids to take it every single day, okay? And there's the QR code. It will automatically appear on their iPad. Now, the kids will have that app pushed out to their iPad. They only have to sign in once, okay? They don't have to continue signing in. The questionnaire will just pop up. A new QR code every day is created for them, and a new color code is created for them. So the security guard's checking the QR code and also checking the color code. If they don't take it, that QR code disappears at midnight, okay? So if they walk up to the door, they click the app, unless they took that survey, they can't get into the building, okay? These are the scanners and Mr. Vella, my technology director, Mr. Miller, and myself, we went through a lot of different technology to figure out the best type of sensor we could have, okay, in the district. And what we did is we found these body scanners. Now, they're really not body scanners, right? Some questions I have, and you guys can see how long it took you guys to come in, okay? If you can imagine loading 240 kids, okay, keeping them middle school kids 6 feet apart, okay? We're gonna have our hands full. So this, after the QR code is scanned, the student's gonna be taking their temperature. And I have a video on the next slide to show you exactly how it works, okay? All this does is read temperatures. I know it looks intimidating. I know it looks big, okay? All it's doing is taking temperatures. It's making sure that there's a single flow of students coming through. Now, we're gonna be going through the process of exactly what happens. But anything over 100.4, the kids are gonna get flagged and they're gonna be brought into something called a verification room. I'm gonna discuss that later on in the presentation, okay? So this is the video of the scanner. So you can see a few things, and we were looking at the cameras, the infrared cameras that scan the temperatures. These are much more accurate to do. The guns that we use, the temperature guns we use, takes a long time. And if you can imagine, there's no way I'm going to be able to load kids in, wait. This can do 70 students in a minute, okay? So every door is probably going to have about 120 students in it, okay? So if you guys can imagine, going through, I probably can load a door in 2 minutes. If all the kids are lined up and as kids coming in, we can get them in 2 minutes. Things that we thought about, okay, is what if it's raining out? What if it's cold out? What if it's snowing out? I can't have the kids lined up at the front door in the rain and the snow and waiting. So what we have done is we're going to create 2 zones. And if you guys look right here, okay, the student entry right there, okay, is right along this side. Okay, so I'm going to line students on that stage. Now, don't tell Mr. Messina, but I painted an orange roadway for the kids to stand on. Okay, when he sees that, he might have a heart attack. Mr. Messina, if you're paying attention, I painted your stage. The other one I did was down in the back of the building, there's a ramp, and it goes around the basement and comes up the stairs. Again, my thought process is get as many kids in the building as possible so I can keep the kids out of the rain. Okay, now, I'm going to read the definition here, and this is going to be a lot of your questions, okay? Any individual who screens positive for COVID-19 exposure or symptoms must be immediately sent home with instructions to contact their healthcare provider for assessment and testing. The word is exposure, okay? And exposure by the CDC is within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes. Our classrooms, and I'm going to get into the classrooms, every desk is 6 feet away from each other. The teacher's desk, where the teacher teaches from, is 6 feet from the students, okay? Students who are being sent home because of positive screen must be immediately separated from other students until the parent, guardian, or emergency contact can retrieve them from the school, okay? So this is a good flow chart that district-wide we're going to be using, okay? So if we look on the left-hand side, it says no flags, proceed to school. What that means is they don't have a temperature, they answered the questionnaire right, they're coming into school, there's no flags waved, okay? The kid's been exposed, but does not have symptoms, okay? They are home for 14 days since exposure. Now remember, exposure is within 6 feet for 15 minutes, okay? The third one is diagnosis, but does not have symptoms. Cannot go to school, and is home for 10 days since the positive COVID-19 test. So the day they took the test, they're out of school for 10 days automatically. And then the final one is at least one symptom. Now this is super important, okay? And I'd much rather err on the side of safety here. Fever, chills, shortness of breath, a new cough, new loss of taste or smell, okay? If confirmed positive COVID-19, or a person has not been tested, 10 days since the first of the symptoms, and 24 hours after the fever broke without any medication. That's not called give your kid Motrin, lower the temperature, and send them into school, okay? We are trusting the parents to do the right thing, okay? If it's a negative on the COVID-19 test, it's a simple way. The kid was sick, he had a little fever, a little cold, 24 hours, fever breaks, send them back in, okay? And again, here's another district flow chart we created. The child arrives in school. We screen him for COVID-19. If there's no flags, he goes to class. And this is going to be interesting, false positives. We all know these temperatures companies promise us it's accurate. If I have kids standing outside in the burning heat, I'm going to get a lot of false positives. What that means is it's going to read 100 degrees, 106 degrees, okay? That's called a false positive. So what's going to happen is the kid's going to come in, they're going to get their temperature read. If their temperature spikes above that marker, right, this is going to be the verification room. I believe we're going to get a lot of false positives coming in, okay? This is why we picked a big verification room. The kid sits in an air-conditioned atmosphere 20 minutes, okay? Hopefully, the majority of our kids will cool down, and we'll retest them in 20 minutes, okay? If that test comes up high again, okay, that is it. You call home, and the kid's going home and is following that procedure, okay? Remember, we check the kids' temperatures twice. There's no 3 checks, it's 2 checks. If they come high on both checks, okay, they're going right on home, okay? Now, face coverings. Students are required to wear face coverings when not seated at their desk, meaning if they're walking in the hallways, restrooms, buses, common areas. Students have the choice to wear their mask all day long. That is up to them. That is their personal choice. That is your choice as parents to tell them what you want them to do, okay? When they're inside in the classroom and they're gonna start asking a question or speaking, we're asking the students to put a face mask on, okay? First day of school, okay, not only are we rolling out iPads, we are now teaching the kids how to wear the face mask, okay? I walk around, we all walk around in food stores, mask are below the nose, okay? We will not allow that. We will be definitely teaching the kids and the staff how to wear their mask perfectly. And like I said, guys, neck gaiters are not allowed, okay? They look nice, they are comfortable, I love them, but you cannot wear them for safety. There's always exceptions to the rule. Those who are medically unable to tolerate a face covering, okay? That, if you're medically unable to wear a face covering, you just have to notify us, okay? And you don't have to wear it. You can't wear it when you're eating in the classroom, okay? And if you are sitting, remember all the desks are 6 feet apart, okay? The teacher's gonna be 6 feet apart, it's gonna be good. They can take their face mask off when they're seated at their desk, okay? Again, that's a personal choice between you and your son or daughter, okay? We were asking students and staff to provide their own face coverings. If they come to school without a face coverings, we have ordered so many additional face coverings we can give them. A kid is not going to be sent home because he doesn't have a face covering, okay? Visitors, as much as I love you guys, okay, as much as I love seeing you guys, okay, this year, we're not going to allow visitors into the buildings. Parent-teacher conferences, meet-the-teacher night, it's all going to be done virtual, it's all going to be done on WebEx, okay? The only time that parents are going to be allowed in, okay, and when I say in that vestibule, okay, is when you're coming to pick your child up or we need you in for an emergency reason. Everything we're going to do is going to be done virtually this year, okay? If we have visitors, we're talking about FedEx, we're talking about UPS, we're talking about the Postal Service, any food people delivery, they have to take the questionnaire, they're going to get their temperature checked, and they're going to have to wear the face screens, okay? Visitors all must use the protocols in the district. Now, cleaning and disinfecting. We are going to be, and I want you guys to understand, we are going to be cleaning these classrooms and sanitizing, okay? Cleaning and sanitizing are 2 different things, okay? We're going to be cleaning these classrooms so often at nighttime, so thoroughly at nighttime, that if there's anything in the classrooms, it's going to be killed. And I'm going to show you a video in a few slides of actually how we're going to clean the classrooms, okay? We're going to be sanitized for high risk and frequently touched surfaces. Students and teacher and student desks will be cleaned and sanitized at the end of every single day. It's rigorous, guys. The cleaners have checklists. The head custodians every room has a checklist. The head custodian has to check the checklist. It is rigorous. There is a routine. There is a system for every one of these classrooms, okay? Bathrooms are going to be sanitized 3 times a day. Only 2 students will be permitted in the bathroom at the same time, okay? At nighttime, like I said, the district has invested into a fogging machine, okay? And this is what the fogging machine looks like, okay? It's actually a pretty cool piece of technology. And you can see what will happen is the whole classroom is going to get fogged. We shut the door, and then that classroom is completely done for the night. No one's allowed to enter it after it's fogged. And every single surface gets cleaned by this fogging machine. And you can see he's going to be stepping out of the room, and he's going to get the door frame, and he's going to get the doors. Okay, any high touch areas. Now every single classroom will get this every single night. And you can see he got the light switch, and that door is completely cleaned off. Ventilation, it's another good question. We've been reading a lot of research on this. Some classrooms have air conditioning. One of Dr. Lewis's push is she's buying more air conditioners for this building, okay? Air conditioners are allowed if you have a window open, okay? Air conditioners are allowed if you have the window open. You need that fresh air to ventilate, okay? Windows on the school buses will be open as much as possible. So the key to running air conditioners, the key is fresh air. So we're going to continue that fresh air running through the classrooms. School day. So in the middle school and high school, we're in the hybrid schedule, okay? When students come in, the students will not have lockers, okay? They're going to go right to their first period class. The classes are going to be 50% or less capacity. Remember, I've personally measured the desk to desk, 6 feet apart. They're really, really spaced appropriately. Like we discussed, students have to wear the face mask when they're going to the first period class. Students will remain in their classes all day long, okay? And that's important because we have a group of kids, okay, and we need to, it's called contact tracing, we've all heard of it. If one kid gets sick, that class, right, we know exactly who was near that kid, where that kid sat, what teachers went in there. So for safety, and only for safety, we are completely 15 kids in a day in that classroom all day long, okay? If lunch is gonna, if the student's buying lunch, it's gonna be delivered right to the classroom, okay? The kids are gonna be eating in the classroom, okay? A day, B day. We are gonna be alternating on Fridays, okay? So Monday is an A day, Tuesday's a B day, Wednesday's an A day, Thursday's a B day. Friday, we're gonna go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Mr. Miller and myself counted the days, and as long as we alternate on Fridays, it's basically even throughout the whole entire year. Because we have to understand, we had to count it with the vacation days. We didn't want day A to go to school 120 days, and day B kids only go to school 60 days. So if we alternate on Fridays, it worked out perfectly. You have the choice. I know it was sent out to you guys if you want virtual instruction. Virtual instruction is exactly like it's in school. They're going to see their teacher one day, and the next day is going to be independent work. If you choose to go virtual, you can't come back into the school, the brick and mortar, into the school until the end of the quarter, okay? We want to keep quarter by quarter the cohort of kids together, okay? And this is what it looks like, A, B, A, B, A, B. If you have a student in the high school and you have a student in the middle school, okay, once the high school completes their schedule, okay, I'm gonna find out where the kids are, and I'm gonna change your child to match your child in the high school. So if you have two students, one in the high school and one in the middle school, they're both gonna be on the same day. Doesn't make sense for parents who work that now they have to take off 4 days, okay? So now you only have to take off 2 days, okay? Instruction. This is going to be interesting. We're very lucky at Herbert. Over the years, we have begun very digitized in the curriculum, in the work. So it's really not that much, okay? But we are going to be basically 100% paperless this year. That means those iPads are going to be on all day long. Your students, the 7th and 8th graders, know it, OneNote, okay, and Teams, okay? With regard to the iPads, we just received the iPad shipment in yesterday, so we're going to be issuing iPads the first 1 or 2 days of school to get the iPads out. Instruction can't start without the iPads, so we're going to get them out. It was our wish to get them out earlier, but they just came in today. Instead of getting a list of school supplies, okay, we're only asking this one thing. Buy an iPad charger and buy a 6-foot cable for your student's iPad. That way they can plug into the surge protector, and if you guys, I'm going to date myself, but Ghostbusters, I have surge protectors between the desk that kids can plug in. Those iPads are going to be on all day long, okay? So if they are using them all day long, there's no way an iPad can work 8-9 hours straight. Special education students, I had a question in the lobby. If your child is a self-contained student, they're coming in every single day, okay? If your child's an inclusion child, they're going to be coming in every other day, okay? We split the inclusion classes up into 2 parts. I was speaking with Ms. Martini, the study skills class for the inclusion, okay, is going to happen virtually every single day. So even if your child is home on that virtual day, they're still going to be touching base with that teacher during a certain time. Okay, and this is the virtual, like we said. If, in worst case scenario, that Nassau County Health Department shuts us down, okay, it's very easy for us that we're going to flick a switch and we're going to go virtual, okay? It is going to be much more rigorous than we were last year, okay? I think this district, and I think Herbert especially, we did a really good job. If we go full virtual again, it's going to be very different, okay? It's going to be very different. It's going to be much more rigorous. Your child in all 6, 7, and 8 are going to be following their schedule all day long, okay? We're going to have phys ed. We're going to have music. And you might ask yourself, whoa, music, singing, or playing the trumpet with a mask is kind of difficult, okay? So Mr. Messina and his music teachers in the middle school created a curriculum that we're going to be dealing with the history of music. We're going to be dealing with music projects that can be done on the iPad to make it fun. But the days of band and chorus, okay, right now are stopped, okay, are completely stopped. The violin is completely stopped. Now you might be thinking in your head, whoa, what about physical education? What's going on there? Again, Mr. Peelan and his teachers rewrote the curriculum, yoga, meditation, history. If it's a nice day out, remember, I don't know about you, but me staying in the classroom all day long, I'll go a little crazy. I'm gonna try and get those kids outside as much as I can to do phys ed, okay? But that's weather dependent. This is a schedule that when we load the schedules on the parent portal and student portal, this is what it's gonna look like. I want you guys just to take a second and take a look before I start explaining it. So what you guys are gonna see here is you have, if you look at the room numbers, you have 212 all the way down, of course, because the kids are only in one classroom, okay? And you also have a room number called remote. Now, if you look at the first line, it says days 1 and 3. 1 and 3 refer to Monday and Wednesday, okay? And that means your child is in school Monday and Wednesday. And if you look at that course number, okay, see the S, that means they're in school. R means they're in remote, okay? And you can see the teachers right on the right-hand side. So this is what the schedule's gonna look like when we load it into the parent portal. And we're looking to load the schedule about the 3rd week of August. Okay, school meals, okay, for free and reduced. For breakfast, we're going to be offering, as the students enter the building, there's going to be a table that they can buy their breakfast, okay? There's going to be a way that where they're going to be able to order their lunch, and it's going to be delivered to the classroom, okay? If your child is free and reduced lunch, okay, and they're remote, just like last year, they can go to the back of the high school and pick up their lunch, okay? So the meal programs are still working. Social emotional well-being. We got to get these kids back to school, okay? These kids sitting at home, it does no good for them. Okay? They need to socialize. They need to see their peers. They need to be in classrooms. They need to be around people their own age. So we are super concerned about the social and emotional well-being of these students. The Central Administration, the Board of Education, listen to you guys, and I want to say you guys because the parents, we got an additional guidance counselor in the middle school, okay? Could not have come at a better time, okay? His name is Mr. G, okay? He's gonna be absolutely amazing addition. He's already been in a few days. We are really working hard to make sure that the kids are emotionally healthy, okay? We are expecting kids to come in and having a hard time transitioning back to the school life. We're expecting a little anxiety with regard to COVID, okay? I know my kids, when I bring them into a store, they get nervous, they get anxious. I expect that same thing here. We have programs, we are gonna be touching base with the kids, we're gonna be pushing into classrooms, we're gonna be talking to the kids, we're gonna be setting up remote sessions for the kids to come if they have questions. So we have a very robust program ready for these kids to come back into the building. I'm gonna go through a bunch of frequently asked questions. These questions came to us, and like I said, I did not take any questions out, okay? I took the question exactly how it was asked of me, and I put it in here. And then after this FAQ, you guys can ask me any questions you want. Will secondary students have set days or rolling schedule? We discussed this. Your child is going to be either Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and alternating Fridays, okay? That is how it's going to go. And like I said, Mr. Miller and myself computed the days, and it works out perfectly number of days, okay? Is this the plan for the whole year, or can it change and go back to the normal schedule? Okay, I'm not going to try and predict the future, but if suddenly we're COVID-free, the world's COVID-free, the most exciting day I'm going to have is when I open my doors to all the students and get all the students back into the classes and have 100% capacity again. So if that ever avails itself this year, we're going to bring them right back. Okay? Will my students be able to move during physical education? We discussed this. I'm going to try and get them on the field as quickly as possible, as safe as possible. Okay? But if they're in the classes, we're going to do some meditation, we're going to do yoga, we're going to do a little history of sports. We're going to try and make it as fun as possible. Okay? Will remote learning be available for families who do not want to send their children to school? A survey was sent out. If you are not planning on sending your child in, please answer that survey. Okay? That survey is online. It's on the Malvern homepage. Please make sure, because we're going to take that child out of the groupings, because I want to make sure the classes are perfectly balanced with the right number of kids. I don't want to have one class of 15 kids, another class of 6 kids. I want to try and make it as even as possible so I can socially distance these kids to the maximum. Will students be wearing masks in the hallways? Will they stay in one classroom to avoid travel hallway? Remember what I said. If they are moving around, they are wearing a mask. If they're sitting at their seat during instruction, they do not need to wear a mask. If they are planning on asking a question, they need to wear their mask. Okay? This is an interesting question that came through. The COVID app, nice in theory, but many people don't tell the truth. How will you deal with it? I'm trusting you guys to answer those 3 questions right. If you decide to take a vacation to Florida, please answer the question right. I only can take your word at it. We are scanning the temperatures here. Also, a lot of districts are not scanning temperatures here. They're relying on the parents to take the temperature of the kids. We are doing it here. Okay, I don't think we'll have a problem, but please be honest when you take that survey. What's the earliest time I can drop off my child? Please, please, please do not drop your child off early, okay? 7:45, in we go, okay? I don't want kids playing basketball. I don't want kids hanging out in the back, okay? That's the last thing I want. This was an interesting question. What, if any, additional cleaning crew does Herba have or the Malvern schools have? How often will cleaning be done? Bathrooms are going to be cleaned 3 times, cleaned and sanitized 3 times a day. Only 2 students allowed. The verification room, this room, once it's cleared in the morning, is going to be completely cleaned and sanitized, okay? So we're ready for the next day. We're very lucky. This district is forward-thinking. It has always been. They have already hired more additional cleaning crew to make sure these classrooms are clean, make sure this building is clean. And when I say cleaned and sanitized, 2 different things, and we are ready to go. And like I said, every classroom has a checklist. Every classroom has a crew that's going to go in, check it, and then the head custodian is also going to verify it. This was an interesting question. I had to call about this one. Are there cleaning supplies on hand at HTH, and for how long? Do we have enough to last all schools until March 2021? Mr. Caputo and Mr. Balzan, they secured enough material to get us through the whole entire year to make sure we clean and sanitize. That's pretty important because if you think about it, a lot of schools are going to be running out of supplies. We have secured enough supplies to get us through the whole entire year already, so we don't need to worry about that. They also ordered a lot of PPE for the staff and for the students. Okay? Teachers are required to wear face masks while working, and if they cannot socially distance, they're going to have to wear the face mask. Will there be glass or plastic partitions in each student's desk? We are lucky here, okay, because a lot of school districts do not have the opportunity to space the kids apart 6 feet. Okay, I know my child's school, they're going to have the barriers. Parents are real happy about that, but if you really think about it, that means the desks are closer than 6 feet. Okay, so I'm very happy to say that we have gone in the classrooms, we have measured the desk, and we are able to be socially distant without those little plastic barriers. Will there be hand-free wall sanitizers available? Okay. Any classroom where a hand stick is not available, a hand-free alcohol-based hand sanitizer will be available for use. And again, we have enough supplies to last us all year long. So we're gonna have those kids cleaning all day long. We're gonna have a routine, time to clean their hands. Everyone goes up and cleans their hands. It's hands-free, so there's no touching it. You put your hand underneath it, you're gonna be good to go. Non-alcohol-based, chlorine-based hand sanitizers will be in the hallways, okay? You can't have alcohol-based sanitizers in the hallways, so we use a product with chlorine-based, okay? Doesn't really affect us, okay, but there will be no hand sanitizers mounted on the bus, okay? That's just a law, okay? You cannot have hand sanitizers mounted on the bus. What happens when there's a positive case in one group of students, okay? If there's a positive case in the classroom, okay, that whole class is gonna switch right into virtual instruction immediately. Those teachers are gonna go the next day and completely start teaching the class virtually. That's an immediate switch to virtual instruction. Okay, like I said, guys, the pickup times, okay, 7:45, drop your kids off, and if we make a call at 8:30 that your kid has spiked twice on our temperature readers, okay, you got to come up and pick that kid up. I would really, really appreciate. So in HTH in the high school, we're going to have to ask the kids to fill out the questionnaire, okay? In Davidson and Downing, the parents are going to fill out the questionnaire. It's just a website. The website is covid.malvernschools.org. We're going to be sending that home to you guys. It's going to be really clear how to do it. That's the end of my presentation. I'm going to turn it over to you guys. I'll walk close to you guys. I just got to find my mask. Yes, people at home, parents at home, there should be a link on YouTube right now. Okay, you're more than welcome to click that link and you can ask your questions online. Sorry, Mr. Bella in the back is trying to, I'm not good with sign language. What is it? Ask? So the URL, parents at home, is ask.malvernschools.org. Okay, so it's ask.malvernschools.org. Parents at home, if you have any questions. Now I'm going to put my face mask because I'm going to have to get close to you guys. Does anyone have any questions? So I'm going to come close to you and you're going to tell me the question.
I have a couple questions. How will absences be handled? Like in the past, if you have, once you have 5 absences, you'll get a letter. But obviously, this is a different set of circumstances. So if a student has potentially been exposed and has to stay home for 10 days, how will it be handled?
So parents at home, the question we have a procedure here that at 5, 10, 15, 20, you're going to get letters home based on absences, and it basically says that in order to a student to academically achieve in a building, you need to be in school. This is a trying times. We understand that, okay? We still are going to have to account for the absences to New York State, but if we send a kid home, we know that wasn't your fault, right? That letter really was driven to make sure parents were accountable of not pushing their kids to come to school. If we send your child home for 10 days, right, we know that's not you, okay? We do have to still count that as an absence, but we understand the reason for that absence.
Next question I had. You're saying the students are going to be in the same class all day. How exactly does that work? Like if you have one teacher for math, one teacher for science, so how exactly does that work?
Yeah, great question. So the question is if the students are in one class, right, when I think of a middle school, when students are in one class, how is that actually going to work? Students are staying, teachers are jumping between classrooms. So a teacher, and I'll take Miss Comer, her room last year was 212. She stayed in her room and the kids came to her every period. Now that doesn't happen. There's going to be a set of students in room 212 and the teacher's going to go into that room, teach her lesson, and then walk out of the room and go to another classroom and another classroom and another classroom. So the teachers move this year, the students stay still. So it's not like an elementary school that they only have one teacher. All their teachers, 9 periods, 8 periods, all teachers are going to come and go, come and go, come and go.
Okay, but if 2 kids in that, so all the kids in that cohort all have the same teachers, would they typically have the same schedules with the same teachers? Is that how it's being done?
Yeah, so what we did is we broke the kids up, and I'm going to try my best to explain this. In my mind, it's clear. Every grade has 6 groups of kids, okay? 6th grade has 6 groups, 7th grade has 6 groups, 8th grade has 6 groups. Your child will be in one of those groups. That group will have all the same teachers all day long. Did I answer it?
And labs, elective for science, for labs, and that kind of stuff, will any of that be happening, or?
So, again, we're very lucky. The science teachers already met. The state came down and gave us some additional money for curriculum writing. The teachers are already met and are creating labs that can be done virtually, can be done without the water. We've bought carts to move supplies around. Mr. Miller's the science chairperson in the middle school, so he is already designing the curriculum to make sure the kids have the best experience in these horrible circumstances.
So basically, any lab activities will have to be individual because they can't share any supplies.
Right,
So the teachers will roll demos into the rooms using the carts,
okay,
and we'll try to make it as fun and exciting as science is, to the limit that we can.
thank you very much.
So the question was, is how large are the classrooms? I'm going to say no kids are going to go virtual. Because if kids go virtual, you're going to have to subtract them out. We have approximately 120 regular education students in a grade, give or take a few. Divide by 60, that's 20 kids in a class. Divide by 2 every other day, so you're looking at 10 to 12 kids per class. Great question. So the question came up is, if I decide to take the virtual choice, what does that look like? The virtual choice, that you will have a teacher teaching your child, okay, in front of a camera, teaching your child every other day. And on that remote day, it's going to be the independent instruction. It's going to be the work to make sure they reinforce the material they learned the other day. So it's basically like you're in school, you're learning, just at your house. Good?
You mentioned the both entrances for, is that only in inclement weather, or is that the permanent 2 entrances for the school building?
So the question came up is, there's 2 entrances. Are those 2 entrances going to be permanent? So those 2 entrances are going to be permanent for the whole entire year. Okay. The best thing we can do for middle school students is try and create a pattern, make sure they know a system. If I start changing doors on them, I will have chaos in seconds. The staff will be using the front door, and the students will be using those 2 side doors.
With others around the country, we have different schools are opening up right now, and we see some of the pitfalls with pictures of hallways crowded and stuff like that. So with these classrooms and teachers moving around, we hopefully are going to alleviate, not have that problem of having the kids move back and forth, have the traffic in the hallways, basically.
So the question came up is, how do we avoid congestion in the hallways? Okay. If you guys were following the news, Georgia had that picture. They suspended the student for taking the picture. I won't say my personal view on that suspension, but how do we avoid that, right? How do we avoid that? So we are really lucky here, okay? It's as we let students in, we have control of the flow of students. So I can let a student into the building after they get scanned by the temperature. They go. I can have the next student go. So I control spacing. There will be adults in the hallways, because remember, kids don't need to stop anywhere. There's no lockers. They need to go right to their first period class. So if a kid pauses, right, if a kid pauses, a teacher's going to be right there in the morning. Come on, let's go, Johnny. You got to get to class, to stop that. And that's how I see that happening. When you looked into the schools around this country, what you're talking about, they opened the doors and the kids just walked in. We are going to control the kids going in, and if we keep a 10-foot spacing, whatever spacing it is, that should be maintained right on through.
So, in the same realm, how are you going to control dismissal?
Great question. How are we going to control dismissal? So, for you guys, remember when you were back in school days, there was on the wall, there used to be a fire exit strategy. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a COVID exit strategy, okay? So we're going to say, classroom 212, please exit out the side doors. Teacher's gonna space the kids, stagger them. Security guards are gonna be down here. We are escorting the kids off school grounds, right? The parents have to be there to pick the kids up. Once that is done, right? Okay, room 210, we're clear, send your kids. 208, you're clear, send your kids. Now, there's gonna be remember, I got a lot of exits, right? I have, I think, 7 exits. So I can move kids along out of the doors, and the kids are gonna only have one way to go. So Mr. Miller and myself have drawn out the building. So we're gonna say, okay, 212, you can exit, knowing they're going out these doors. Miss Hennessy, room 303, you can leave. They're going to go out those doors. Room 120, you can leave. We know they're going to go out the front doors. So they're going to be completely split up. Walkers can go. My concern is this, is I only can control what happens on my school grounds, right? As long as I can get the kids off school grounds within being socially distant, then I hand it over to the parents. Sorry, I'm going to make my way around.
I have a few questions. Is there no first period this year? I remember that there was a first period. 0 period, I'm sorry.
I'm like, whoa, no, there's a first period. No 0 period, 7:45, kids can start coming in.
Okay. What happens, is there any differentiation in classes with children that are either in Regents or honors? What happens to those children?
Good question. And I'm going to back up on this one because hopefully. So the question came out is, what about Regents and honors classes? For safety, we have brought all kids into one cohort. We're very lucky here. Over several years, we have constantly challenged the students. We have constantly raised the curriculum up. All our students take a Regents in math in 8th grade. Don't need to worry about it. All our students take living environment in 8th grade. We don't need to worry about it. Where the effect comes into what you're talking about is a U.S. history class, okay? Unfortunately, the kids U.S. history is an 11th grade class, okay? It adds a lot of stress onto those kids to begin with. That's with the kids going to Miss Coonan every single day for 2 years. Let's be very honest. They lost half a year of instruction last year. They're gonna lose. They're here every other day. So let's say they get through 65% of the curriculum, okay, and that's going to be our hope. There's no way we can get all that material in a 2-year course into almost a year. So what we did is we collapsed those sections down. Same thing with earth science. Earth science was a double period class. Goes to your first question. What about that 0 period class? I can't get kids into school, nor is the schedule built for a double period earth science class. Those kids can take earth science in the high school. Our U.S. history kids always took the U.S. history regions again in 11th grade. We were lucky that our kids basically got the same grade, but they have to retake it again when they take the AP course. So we looked at all the regions classes, and we realized if we cohorted the kids for safety, let's be very honest, and we got rid of the earth science and the U.S. history, right? We're not hurting the kids in the long term. We're still offering living environment, we're still offering Algebra 1 regions, and that's really a good foundation for the kids.
In terms of the entries to the school, I have 2 questions. One, are you guys going to differentiate what door your child goes to? And 2, I know the concern is getting children off the property after dismissal, but like, for example, I have 2 kids that are going to be in the school, and I obviously going to want to walk them together. I don't expect that you'll be saying, okay, you 2 can go out together, but will one be allowed to wait 5 minutes or 10 minutes till the other one comes out?
So this year, so the question is, are we gonna assign kids entrances, right? The answer is yes, because the last thing I would want to do, right, is not know what kids, but they all are coming right through this door. And like the question was asked, how are we going to control the kids being socially distant? And if I had kids entering this door and the gym door, I can't control the flow of the kids. So all the kids are going to meet up right here, and then we're going to let them into the building. If you have 2 students in this building, right, you tell me that. I will work out an arrangement that those kids can walk out together and get to you together. That is fine. You just got to give me a heads up so we can plan it. I can tell the 9th period teacher, And we can probably get them moving first to get to their sibling, and out they go together. Absolutely no problems whatsoever. Oh, one more.
I'll just throw them all at you. Okay. The thermoscans, is there any radiation exposure for the children with that?
It is just like an IR temperature. No radiation, no nothing.
And just to clarify, the kid's gonna get the iPad before school start, you said?
No, first day of school.
First day of school, so in order to fill out that questionnaire in regards to the COVID, we have to do it on the
Yep.
computer on the first day.
So you're going to be receiving a letter from me describing what you need to do the first day of school. It's very thorough, it's very clear, okay? If I can, and there's a lot of stages to releasing iPads. It's not just, here's an iPad. So if I can, I'd love to get those iPads out early to you guys, have a drive-through, pick them up, and off you go. But if we can't get them to you guys, then we'll be doing it online. It is my wish to get those iPads out early. There is a technical difficulty that this is all creating that slows that whole process up.
So in conjunction with what she said about like honors and stuff, so how are the kids being grouped in the classroom? Is it strictly by last name, or is there, like, what is the rhyme or reason? Are we, if group B is only, I through the end of the alphabet, then that's who your kids are gonna be with?
Yep, I would hate to do that for the kids. Okay, we're not lining kids up by last name. We have taken a multi-prong approach of how to split the kids up. We're talking about personalities. We're talking about who they get along with. We're talking about, we reached out to their old teachers to figure out, do they get along? Is there problems between kids? We're talking about their academics. We're talking about their reading levels. We're talking about looking at the whole child and really making sure we pick the best class. Because the last thing I want to do is if Mr. Miller and myself don't get along, okay, we have a long history of fighting, putting those two kids in the same class, those two kids are going to have a miserable time and make the whole class miserable. So we have done our best. Are we going to make mistakes? Absolutely. But the good thing is we can swap kids out real quick, okay? Because the curriculum is straight on through. So if you know, hey, I don't want my child in with this kid, just send me an email, and we'll try and work it out the best we can. But that took us a long time to break kids into groups. Now, what's going to be interesting is, if you imagine, we got these perfect groups, perfectly balanced. We think they're perfect. Next thing you know, a class of 20 kids, 19 of them are virtual. I got to now redo the groupings for the whole entire building. So I know there's a deadline with regard to that. So if you're planning on going virtual, do me a favor, sign up as quickly as possible so I can regroup the kids.
So can we send you a request if we want to request people to be together, or you only want people that you shouldn't put together?
Shouldn't put together. Listen, the last thing I want to do also is put all my friends together in one class, right? That's the worst thing I can do. And again, kids that don't get along is one thing. I'm talking about the extreme problems. No, there's no friends. I'm not going to honor those requests. Just be honest and just say, hey, listen, my kid doesn't get along with this kid, and we're going to separate. I would do my best to separate.
Okay, one last question.
Sure.
There's not gonna be, because I know my daughter was looking forward to trying out for like the softball team for 7th grade, but that's not gonna be happening.
I don't want to say it's not going to be happening. Right now, and I'm going to loop something in also with extracurricular activities and clubs. Right now, we are going to reevaluate everything as time goes on, right? There will be no clubs in the month of September. October 1st, we're going to look into it and try and figure it out. If I got to get all the kids out of the building, we got to figure out a way to create clubs. Sports are the same thing. We don't decide if there's going to be sports. Nassau County will decide if there's going to be sports or not sports. The best thing we can do is get these kids interacting, socializing, and doing physical activity. So if there's a way, we will find it. 2:48. End time is 2:48. Yep. Yes, right now on the calendar, it's September 8th. Keep your eyes open to an email. That might be changing here or there. Okay, I don't know, but the rumor is it could be changing, but we'll find that out soon enough. No, listen, schools are moving things around. Right now, the calendar says September 8th. If there's a change to that, I will tell you right away. So that's a great question, and that's a question that we as administrators have asked.
Just repeat the question, Mr. Nelson.
Sorry. The question is we discussed students getting COVID, God forbid, okay? What happens when a teacher contracts? That we're going to be making a call to the Department of Health and figure out exactly. You have to understand, anytime we're dealing with COVID, we have a good, rough guidance, but we always can call a friend. And the Department of Health is going to be our friend. We're going to call them right away, and they're going to tell us exactly what to do in that scenario. Fingers crossed, I hope that does not happen. Okay, I hope we go with the only school, okay, that has no COVID. That would be wonderful. But we will be calling the Department of Health on everything to verify. Sure.
It was mentioned on the information that was sent out, the email, that there will be a fresh air break.
Yep.
What is that?
Fresh air breaks, weather dependent, right? Lunch, recess, physical education, maybe music. Anything we can get the kids outside. If my English teacher wants to go read a poem outside, read a book outside, we got to get these kids outside. We got to get them outside, okay? Being in one classroom, it'd make me go a little crazier. So we're going to try and get those kids out as much as possible. But it has to be safe. We can't have classrooms intersecting each other in the stairwells. There's a lot to, it sounds so simple, let's take the kids outside. It's a very complicated process. But we are trying to get these kids out as much as possible. No problem, thank you.
I have two questions. One for the children that are receiving services such as speech, OT, all that. I guess what does that look like, both virtually and in person? And then in November, for example, if whichever avenue you pick, are you able to switch it, like if it's not working in November?
So the question was, if my child receives services, speech, if my child receive OT, how does that look? I was actually on the phone with Miss Martini today. This morning, driving into work, I kind of drive people crazy in the morning when I drive in at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm ready to go. Maybe they're not, but Miss Martini was on the phone. She's building a plan as we speak right now what those services look like, if they're going to be in person or they're going to be virtual. I was speaking to the speech pathologist this morning about that. As a team, we were trying to figure it out. The services will be provided to the students one way or another. The second question was in November, I think it's November 16th, end of quarter one. At the end of quarter one, you have a choice to change. Okay, so if you're virtual, you want to come back, you can come back. Throughout the first quarter, if you're in school and you say, hey, I got to go to virtual, you can make that change. You just can't come back into the brick and mortar school.
Mr. Nelson, we also have 60 questions from online.
I cannot wait for 60 questions.
I'm smiling under the mask. It's hard to tell.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm enjoying. I'm hoping everyone here.
Yeah. So when they do virtual, possibly, would it be, do they have to log in and out for different teachers if they do it at home, or is it just going to be one class? Just like it would be in here.
That's actually interesting. I don't have an answer for that because what the question was, does my student need to join different teachers' classrooms? Never really thought of that. Thank you for asking that. It would be really simple if I created a class, 6th grade 1, and the kids just stay signed in and teachers just jump in and out. I'll get back to you on that one.
If they come in and like 3 weeks in, my kid says, I don't know about this, I just want to do classes at home. Are you allowed to do that, or you got to wait till November 21st?
You're allowed to jump into the virtual end anytime. You just can't get jumped back into school.
Okay. Has it ever brought up, I work in healthcare, so I get tested once a week or
Yep.
twice a week. Have you guys ever thought of having the teachers or the students tested once a month, or just take like 10 teachers or 10 students
So,
and get tested once a month, and then the testing is free?
so the question came out for the people at home. Have we ever thought about, oh, I'm sorry, guys. Guys, I forgot to introduce, my fault, I'm new here. This is Dr. Lewis. We're very lucky to have her as our superintendent. My apologies, I didn't see you when I started, my fault. That's Ms. Esposito, our board member, Mr. Kahuli, Mr. Caputo, and Mr. Balzan. That's the team that's really been driving this whole process. I have a text message from Mr. Messina. I guess he's watching, and he realized I painted his stage. I do not want to read that text message out loud. So the question was, has there ever been a conversation or a talk with regard to testing the kids? Governor Cuomo said a whole lot of things last week. We are still deciphering and trying to figure out what that actually means. We are an educational facility. We're not a testing facility. We will not test kids. It has not been given to us that kids are going to be testing at periodic levels, to answer your question. Nope, I'm listening. Okay, sorry. So the question was, what are we doing with backpacks and what are we doing with coats in the wintertime? What are we doing with coats in the rain? The last thing I want as a father is my kid's coat next to another kid's coat. That kid comes in coughing, sneezing, okay? I don't want those coats touching. So we're going to be putting the backpacks and the coats underneath the kid's desk, on the back of their chair. I know it's 6 feet. I believe it's going to be more than 6 feet distance when we're all said and done, okay? So that's how we're going to monitor that. So the question was, what is the ratio between cleaning staff and rooms, or whatever you want to say? So they've hired I think it's two additional cleaning staff for this building. I only can talk about this building. So we're going to be cleaning the bathrooms. We're going to have 2 people during the day. Remember, the cafeteria is not being used, so that was a major way that the custodians would get lost cleaning the cafeteria at period after period. So we're having 2 during the day, and I think we're having 4 at nighttime. One person is the official fogger, and he's going to be the guy with the Ghostbusters backpack and spraying the classrooms down. I went through it with Anthony Simmons, our head custodian. We have a plan, dedicated classrooms. Just don't forget that not all the classrooms are being used. So I got a lot less classrooms to clean. I don't have to clean the gym. I don't have to clean the cafeteria. I don't have to clean the band room, the chorus room. The big spaces are all gone. I have to clean a certain class. 18 classes, that's it. 22 classes, including the self-contained classes. So I have to clean 22. Usually in this building, we have about 50 to 54 classrooms. 22, that's not that much for 4 people. Teachers will be wearing masks in the classrooms. They are not required, if they're 6 feet away, to wear the mask. In this building, we have face shields. I do believe masks are much safer than face shields. So when they're outside, we are going to be really socially distant, right? We're not playing soccer where kids go near each other. You're not touching another kid. We're going to be able to jumping jacks, so whatever the physical education teachers decide to do. Remember, safety. I've talked to the teachers over and over and over again. The kids are going to get the same lesson. Safety, 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 safety. If there's 1 ounce of doubt that we're not doing something safe, it's not happening in this building. It's very simple to me. So the question was, what does the remote day look like? The remote day looks like exactly minute by minute as school. So the kids will virtually attend the classes, same number of minutes per periods, okay? And then right after, the next day, they were going to be doing independent work and really building the foundation to make sure they understood what they did the day before. So if you look at these classrooms, so the question was, are there any school supplies? If you look at my classrooms right now, Ms. Del Judas, 8th grade math teacher, oh my God, I love making kids color, these mathematical parabolas. I'm like, that's gonna have to be done on an iPad. There are no communal supplies. I don't want to store communal supplies. I don't want possible. I have a box of crayons, I put it in the wrong drawer. Now that kid has it, I have a cough. Now I've given communal supplies, so I'm saying no to school supplies this year, except an iPad charger, that's the big one, not the small phone one, and a 6-foot lightning cable. Okay? We're gonna be plugging those iPads in. That's the only thing we're gonna need to do this year for school supplies.
The eighth graders that left here, with their iPads sent over to the high school already, or are they getting issues?
I would hate to say this, but the last day of school, I shipped those iPads across. I waved at them and I said, "See you later." So the 8th grade iPads are over there. Any breakages of the iPads have been fixed, have been returned and restored. So we're good to go, ready to go.
Just curious, like in the morning, is there a plan set up for when the kids, because obviously there's gotta be some sort of congregation if every child has to get here by 7:45. So you have like, markings, or how are you guys gonna control the crowd?
So the question was, how are we going to worry about the crowd in the mornings? 120 kids per doorway, 240 kids total. So I want to say I can fit about 35 kids right on this stage. There's going to be, we bought these cute little stand here. Outside, you can't put stickers outside, so we're going to be painting M's on the floors, and it's going to be monitored for socially distanced. The key to the morning is getting these kids in, checked, into their classrooms as soon as possible. If there is a holdup, at any point, if a machine crashes, I am going to have trouble, I'm going to have chaos, I'm going to have kids grouping up. If I keep going like an amusement park ride, in, oh, you're over here, in. That's the best thing I can do is to keep the line moving. And it's going to be, security guards are going to be out there, teachers are going to be out there, Mr. Miller is going to be on one line, I'm going to be on one line. It's going to be a full team approach. So the question is, what are we going to do with these poor 6th graders? It's a brand new building. They don't know anything. They met their teachers, but it's probably not going to be their teachers. They don't know the iPads. They don't know OneNote. They don't know OneDrive. What are we going to do? So there's a few things we're going to do, okay, for the 6th graders. So if you've been following the news, man, it is tough to talk this long with this microphone and this mask. Chromebooks have been pushed back for 2 months. My home district will not get their computer shipment until the end of October. I would have a nightmare doing digital instruction without any devices. All the devices are here, we're ready to go, we're good. Once school starts, we're gonna be taking an honor society kid, we're gonna be pairing up with a 6th grade kid, a little buddy system, that they can meet on WebEx, they can talk and do it. Mr. Miller and myself, our first day, well, when I say first day, it's really 2 days, right, because we divided the building. The first 2 days, we are going to try our hardest to get as many iPads out as possible. The quicker I get an iPad in a kid's hand, the quicker class can start. Having kids sitting in a class without doing instruction, by 3 hours, it's not going to be a good scene. So we are going to be running around getting the iPads. We're going to get the iPads into the 7th graders' hands first and the 8th graders' hands first. I don't have to do anything to those iPads. They're going to be working. They know how to work it. They know how to work OneDrive, OneNote. Mr. Miller and myself, hopefully by the afternoon, are going to get into 6th grade classrooms and get those iPads out. Next day, we're going to repeat the process. On the 3rd day, hopefully the whole population of the school has their iPads, okay? And then we're going to go into 6th grade classrooms and we're going to instruct the kids how to use the iPads, how to use OneNote, how to use OneDrive. Then what I would like to do is I can say to the National Junior Honor Society kids, hey guys, I need you to meet with your kid on the virtual day and answer any questions they have for OneDrive or OneNote. That way they have a buddy system. We will be running, for parents here, we had a virtual, Mr. Miller and myself, every morning. We met the kids every morning. If they had questions with their iPads, they could ask us questions. We're going to do the same thing. So it's not going to be in the morning because we're going to be loading kids in the morning, but at 10 o'clock in the morning, Mr. Miller and myself will be online for a half hour, 45 minutes to answer any questions kids have of us. So there will be a way to contact us immediately every day. Any other questions from the audience? Oh, jeez. Sorry, going back here, then I'm going up front. Oh, I knew I was going to have a parent that was going to ask that question. So the question is fire drills. When you read the state guidance, I am still required to hold all fire drills, okay? And I have to hold 8 fire drills before December. I'm going to have to do a fire drill. It's going to take me a long time to do a fire drill. I don't even want to think about it. I'm going to have to socially distance 120 kids, walk them out of the building, walk them back in the building. I get why we have to do fire drills. I understand that the state did not waive any guidance from us, so we still have to do fire drills. It's going to be not a nice day to do a fire drill. I'm going to kill probably a good hour to an hour and a half of instruction for kids that are coming to school every other day. It's nothing I can do. Because think about when we exit the building, I have all socially spaced, get them out. Now I got to maintain socially spacing, walking down. A teacher stops early. Next thing you know, I got kids getting close to each other, talking, seeing their friends. It's just not going to be, but we'll figure it out like everything else. Good.
So the follow-up with the 6th grade orientation, is there going to be anything, since they did an orientation with now all their wrong teachers, or most of
Yep.
the teachers, will there be something right before school starts where you do another WebEx like you did before?
So the question was we did this whole nice thing. The kids met their teachers virtually. It was really nice. Unfortunately, that's not going to happen. We're not going to be able to meet the teachers because we don't have the iPads, nor are the teachers in. I do have to, well, I'll talk about that next week. There's something in the works that we're working on for the 6th graders. I feel awful for the 6th graders coming into this building, okay, and being thrown in the classroom, and you're staying in that classroom, you're going to get a new teacher. We have something we are working on. Let's hope everything goes well tonight, and I have a plan for the 6th graders to meet their teachers.
The next thing is, since there's a virtual option, if
Yep.
you send your kid to school and they're just sick, or they have to quarantine for whatever reason, can they virtually attend classes if they're well enough to do that?
That's a great question. Answer is yes. So the question was, if my kid has to quarantine, God forbid that happens to anybody, if my kid has to quarantine, they get sent home, they're going to hop right on the virtual instruction. When we send the kids home, we're going to be sending a piece of paper with the room numbers, the times, and when to attend. So the days of my kid's sick and he's going home and doing no work, it's long gone. The teachers all should be in step with each other. Meaning if I'm doing addition today, in 8th grade, all 8th grade teachers should be addition. We're sharing one notebook. We've created digital notebooks. The teachers have been working really hard at this. So we should be pretty much in common. So if a kid that has to go out isn't going to be at a really different spot than if he was in school. So hopefully that answered your questions.
And just the last thing,
Sure.
because I'm obviously a new parent, with no lockers, what do their books look like? Is it all on the iPad, or they have physical books they're going to be lumping back and forth every day?
I do not, I got to get the teachers back to give you a full, honest answer. In this building, especially in 6th grade, we are 95% digital, which means there's not going to be much books. In English, we use Springboard. We're completely digital. Math, Waveler and Bach are completely digital. In 6th grade, Mrs. Biancanello, Miss Vendetto is completely digital. Mr. Mirabito, our social studies teacher, is completely digital. Majority of my teachers are completely digital, and the ones that aren't, they're coming on board real quickly. And it's kind of funny, you tell your kid, don't touch the hot stove, don't touch the hot stove. For years, I've been telling my teachers, you got to get digital. You got to get digital. Well, this year we're going fully digital. I'm really lucky. I have the best teachers in the world in this building, I believe. They work hard. They love the kids. And the majority of them are digital. So, and whoever's not, this summer we are working with them to get them fully up and digital. Welcome to Howard T. Herber. I wish it was under better circumstances. Questions? Go.
Who's going to be doing the second scanning?
Who's going to be doing the second scanning? So we're going to have a nurse. We have, again, Miss Jansen is an RN. She's worked in the hospital. She is a full-blown, legit nurse. Any second scanning is not going to be done by me or Mr. Miller. It's going to be someone that knows how to scan the kids to get a good temperature reading. And we're going to be changing guns, and Those questions are given to us by New York State Education Department. Have you been traveled outside of New York? I will bring that up. We can always add questionnaires. Questions? Any other questions? Go.
Previously, kids were able to get extra help when needed. How would that be handled?
So today we had a principals meeting. I asked that exact question. The question is kids used to stay after school and get extra help. I brought that up, and as a team, we all kind of went, how are we going to do that? Teachers are going to give extra help. How? That's going to be a really good question. Kids need extra help, right? Teachers are going to be kicked out of the building with the kids. I need everybody out of this building at 2:48. There's nothing left in this building except the fogging machine, sanitizing. Because if you imagine one teacher walks around, doesn't realize it, is coughing, touches the handrails, goes into a classroom, totally desanitizes a sanitized building. So everybody has to exit the building. So that's going to raise the complexity of how we're going to offer extra help. As a team, we're going to sit down, we're going to try and get that answer ironed out. Extra help's important. I don't know how that's going to look, because if a kid's eating lunch, right, maybe we'll give extra help during lunch and the kid puts his headphones in and tunes in with the teacher. You know, there's a lot of ideas out there. The principals met and we're trying to get a good deal, but you can't do it after school because we're dealing with contracts and whatnot. You know, you can't have a whole lecture up at 5 o'clock. Yep.
And then, Mr. Nelson, we're up to 71 questions on the...
That means I am not answering the questions right here. And if you guys want to leave, you guys are more than welcome to. I'm sure some of these questions are going to be good.
Is there a way that parents are going to be able to have access to kids' assignments, like, so that they can keep track without using Remind?
So, yep, okay. So the question is, I'm going to try and paraphrase this. Is there going to be a better way that teachers are going to communicate with the parents and the students? Last year, we had it on Teams. We had it on Remind. We had it on Edmodo. We had it Class Dojo. We are all over the place. We are going to be using one. I'm going to require all my teachers to use one form of communication. That is going to be Microsoft Teams. That doesn't mean they can't use other forms of communication, okay? But it's going to be a Teams. So when you say, well, what about Teams? How do I sign on? We're going to be issuing parent codes that parents can sign on and see. They can't chat with the teachers. That's only for the students, but all my teachers will be posting assignments on Teams, and that automatically puts it on their calendar so the kids can see what assignments to do right on their calendar.
I don't know if it's the same, but last year, when this started, I was able to log on to the website and go under my child's name, and basically each class, they would have listed what assignments would be missing. So I just went onto the parent portal every day, and then I would look.
Yep.
It was like a full-time job.
Yep. So we're going to simplify that between the student portal, the parent portal, and then Teams. Any other questions in the auditorium? And then for your parents at home, I will be answering questions until midnight if I have to.
I just had a couple questions. What time does first period start if the school's opening at 7:45?
7:55, first bell rings. That means kids have to be in their seat and learning.
Okay. And then the school supply list that's online, don't get any of that, even like the hand sanitizer, like that kind of stuff?
As parents, I would suggest you packing your kid with a gallon of hand sanitizer. Okay, that's just my suggestion. But we should take down that school supply list.
Okay, and then the last question, on the days that the students are not reporting to the building, they're signing into WebExes, or it's just completely home learning with the assignments that they'll be doing?
So the question was when my student is remotely working, which means they were in school the day before, what does that next day look like? What we're doing is we have worked with the teachers, we wrote the curriculum, we've changed what we're doing. So if I'm doing addition on Monday, on Tuesday, I'm going to have a length of time to work on problems on addition. And that's going to be really super important. And that goes back to your question with regard to extra help. how is that going to work if my kid's stuck at home? How is that going to work? So that is part of the conversation with extra help. How do we help the kids on virtual instruction? So the kids are going to be doing work independently based on the lesson prior.
On the days that their virtual attendance is taken.
Great question. New York State tells me that I have to take attendance both in school and out of school. So the kids are going to have to sign into the app. Work is assigned. If the kid doesn't do the work, they're going to be marked absent for that class. So we were very, I'm going to use the nice word, we were very lenient last year for grades, quarter 3, quarter 4 here. We really took the social, emotional well-being of the kids and we said, listen, we got to give them a little space, okay? This year we're not going to be so lenient. We're going to hold them pretty tight. They got to do the work. And if we're going to be like this for a year, we can't lose time. We're already losing time because we're going every other day. We can't lose time because you're playing Fortnite all day long. Listen, I have 3 kids. We played Fortnite all day long.
In terms of the curriculum, especially for the Regents classes, has there been any change in the curriculum since, they're not in every day, and even in terms of what they missed, last semester?
Yep.
Last year? Has there been any change statewide in those
So,
classes?
yep. So the question was, hey, are the kids still required to learn the same amount of material, right, if they're not in every single day? The state has not changed any curriculums as far as I know. I do know last year they exempted the kids from all the Regencies because they understood it's very hard, in my eyes, it's very hard to hold kids fairly equal, equitable, meaning in Malvern we're lucky. We have iPads for the kids. We have OneNote for the kids. We have WebEx for the kids. Not all schools in New York State have that, right? I can take my son's school, okay? They were guaranteed to have Chromebooks. Guaranteed to have Chromebooks. It's the end of October. They lost 2 months of instruction, theoretically, right? Because they can't get the Chromebooks in on time. Not because they didn't order them in time, because customs held them, sent them back, and it's a whole big fight because the China chips and all that, but I'm not getting involved in that. We're lucky the iPads are here. I was very blessed when they came in yesterday in a big pallet. So we are good, but I do believe at the end of the year, I'm sure the state will do what's right by the kids. They did last year, and I really did appreciate that. Any questions?
Just to follow up with the
Sure.
B day, like the home day schedule. I know they're gonna have work, they're gonna have to sign in at whatever, 7:55 or whatever time in the morning. Is it a schedule at that point, or is it, this is your work for the day, and is there a time limit as to when they have to finish it?
That's going to be, so the question is on the schedule, it showed certain periods. The kids don't need to show up at those periods. That's just to make the teachers as sane as possible, not having all the classes all over the place. The kids will not need to sign in at a certain time. The work will be due, and this is going to be interesting, uniformly at one time. Last year, I had teachers going, I'll give the kids at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'll give the kids to 11 o'clock at night. As a building, we're going to have a uniform time when the work is due, because parents are saying, my kid's staying up to 3 o'clock in the morning playing Fortnite, and at 3:30 he's doing science. Come into my room and wake me. That's going to end. Okay? We were really good at balancing the workload last year, making sure we're pushing the kids, not hard. We're going to have a uniform approach this year. Any other questions? Now, I will not feel bad, okay, if you get up and leave. I'm going to go to that laptop, and by Mr. Miller's, he's going to read the questions to me, I guess. Guys, thank you so much. You guys are more than welcome to email me if you have any questions. This presentation will be available. It's on Malvern Schools Live, and I will put the PowerPoint online also. No problem, guys. Thank you. Stay safe. No problem.
You mentioned that the kids who have siblings in both schools, they'll be put on the same schedule. Do we have to let you know that?
No. Nope. I will do my best to figure it out, and if I mess up, you tell me and I'll fix it. Nope. The siblings in this school is easy. I got that covered. Hey, thank you.
All right, at-home parents. I'm going to read these in the order that they came in. and we'll go from there. I imagine a lot of these we probably will have answered already. Yep. Okay, first question. What does an approved mask mean? Who is it approved by?
An approved mask is going to be a KN95 mask, a 3-ply mask, a surgical mask. Really, at this point, any type of mask except the gaiters or the handkerchiefs, which scientifically have been proven to not keep the kids safe.
All right. What is the plan for teachers who cannot WebEx?
Next year, all our teachers will be WebExing.
Okay. Is there a plan for grading?
The plan for grading is the district has a grading plan, and that plan will be followed through. We will be giving numeric grades to students based on the work they do.
How will you differentiate instruction in the classroom and online for students on grade level, above grade level, and students with IEPs/ENLs?
All students will be held accountable throughout the year for their academic achievements.
All right, this question we already answered. It's about remote learning. This person we already answered. Again, the teacher who is remote will be the same teacher as the teacher who is in person. So the question was, will the teacher be the same remote and in school? It's going to be the same teacher. This question, will there be band and violin this year? Again, guys, while, just not to cut you off, Mr. Messina did text me as well, and I read it. So there will be music classes while the students are in school. Any instrumental lessons, including the violin, will be held virtually or through Flipgrid, and that's word for word what Mr. Messina sent me. Dismissal we covered. Students will remain in the same room and the teacher will move room to room. Will the students will be allowed to wear face shields?
Right now, the district has decided that masks are to be worn by students when they are walking around the hallways or when they're speaking in the classrooms.
Okay. When will the high school town hall meeting take place? That I'm not sure. Is it?
Dr. Romano will be notifying the high school when their town hall meeting is.
This question, can we switch to 100% remote learning if my child doesn't feel comfortable? Absolutely. You can move into the virtual or remote, 100% virtual anytime you'd like. If you start in the school and you don't feel comfortable, you want to switch to that, that's no problem at all. Is there a separate screening for kids whose parents work in high-risk environments, such as the medical field?
There are no separate screenings. All students will be screened the same way.
This is a question we already answered about virtual learning. Where can I find the link for the survey for parents who prefer 100% remote learning?
The link for 100% virtual learning is on the Malvern homepage.
This question is about science classes. Again, we did cover it at the beginning. How would science classes change during this time? Would the lab still be conducted? Again, science classes will be the same for the most part as far as labs go. Any lab activities the teachers do have to be done individually. They cannot share materials and they cannot work in groups. So again, our science teachers are working right now to come up with virtual labs and in-class activities where the materials are disposable and they're done at the desk individually, or the teacher will wheel a demonstration in to show the entire class at once. If a student in room A tests positive and my student has the same teacher in room B, are we also tracing each of the teachers with all the students they'll come into contact with?
So we have a very complex tracing plan in the district and in the middle school. Every student, if you can imagine, has a tracing and tracing number tied to them. So if a teacher goes out, we can follow that tracing tree all the way down, and then we can call the Department of Health and ask them what layer 1, layer 2, or layer 3, what we should do with each one of those layers. But again, that answer will be given to us by the Department of Health, but all layers of tracing have been accounted for.
All right. Are students allowed to bring reusable water bottles like a hydro flask, or should it be just bottled water?
You're more than welcome to bring in a reusable water bottle. That water bottle will stay on the desk. And the water machines, about 2 years ago in Howard T. Herb, have been upgraded to that they can fill the water bottle up directly.
This question we also kind of covered. It said for inclusion students, but really the question is across the board. When will we know who the teachers are? We're going to release the schedules sometime, I think you said in the third week of August, correct? Okay, third week of August. After a positive test for COVID, does a student or staff have to have a negative test to return, or can they just return after 10 days of quarantine?
In order to return to the building, they do not at this time require a negative COVID test.
What kind of mental and emotional health supports are offered for students whose families have opted for full virtual learning?
Students that are fully virtual learning will have the same experience as the students in school. The same program, the socially emotional program that we've created, is going to both be in school and for virtual students.
Okay. How many cases would it take to shut the entire school down? Has Malvern reopening plan been approved by the governor's office?
The shutting the whole school down would be a decision that we will be following the guidelines of Department of Health, and we have submitted the paperwork for our plan to be approved.
Okay, we've actually covered a lot of these, so I'm just going through here. This question, again, just to keep emphasizing, is remote learning Monday through Friday? Again, remote learning will be, if you choose the 100% virtual model, it will look exactly like the hybrid model, only you will be at home on the days that you would receive live instruction. So if you choose the 100% virtual learning model, you may be in WebEx Mondays and Wednesdays, alternating Fridays, and then you would be doing your remote work Tuesdays and Thursdays. Children allowed to bring water bottles, that's the same thing. Fire drills we covered. How many adults are allowed in a classroom?
The number of people are governed by social spacing in the classroom, so that will be only dictated by the size of the classroom.
Okay, this one we covered. For virtual learnings, will the lessons be pre-taped or live?
For virtual learning, the lessons will be live.
This we covered. I think majority of these we've covered. I think that what we can do is we will continue that, and any other questions that come through, we'll answer. We really appreciate the online participation by parents at home. And if there are any further questions, you feel free to email Mr. Nelson or myself, and we will get back to you, as quickly as we possibly can.
All right, thank you, parents, for tuning in. I apologize that I could not have all of you guys in the auditorium, but we had to socially distance. Every building in the district will be having these town hall meetings. Then next week, the district will be having a town hall meeting also. The information for that will be coming out shortly. If you have any questions, you'll feel free to email Mr. Miller or myself, or both of us at the same time, and we will get back to you in a timely manner. Thank you, stay safe, and have a good night.